to the. Whew. All right, Slong Lake Peace. I am Coach Nazir, and after the technical difficulties I just had and problem solving I just went through, I'm glad to be here. Hopefully, you are as well. Feel free to share this information. Today, we're going to be talking about some marriage and polygyny basics. Again, that's where we start. We start at the beginning. Marriage and polygyny basics. So, if you have not done so, and since I'm just starting, not many of you have, let me know where you're chiming in from. What country, what state, time zone, whatever it may be, let me know where you're chiming in from. Of course, I am Coach Nazir, one of the founders of Outstanding Personal Relationships. My two beautiful co-wives, or my wives, not my co-wives, my two wives, Coach Fatimah and Nyla, are not going to be joining me today. Today, we've actually had a very long day. Today, we started out with our weekly family meeting, or what I call the family council, where we all get together, really plan for the week, go over the previous week, and make sure we're building at the same time. And then we also had a family event. It's one of my daughter's birthdays, my bonus baby. So she turned 17. It's a golden birthday today. We went out to a carnival amusement park, had some fun there, as well as went to eat afterwards because, we got to grub. So, yeah. So it's been a long day. And of course, we are currently traveling. So if you're like, how'd you do all of that? And it's like 10, 11 in the morning. Well, it's not for us. I need to check on something, but let me know where you're chiming in from. I see South Carolina, Salim's in the house. Assalamu alaikum. Peace. I'm going to check on one of the cams. I have a few things in front of me. You might see two different laptops because we have our private community where I'm streaming from. And then, of course, I have YouTube and Facebook also where I'm streaming from for a short period, as well as IG. I need to check on the IG camera, but I will be starting on all of these and then shutting down a few of the cameras and only dealing with those in our private community. So if you have not registered or you're just now really hearing about it with what we're doing there, you can go in there, join the live cast, stuff like that, register for free and everything. Let me give you the URL for that before I check and see what's going on IG stuff. Let me see. All right, going across the bottom of the screen on Facebook and YouTube. You can join us in that section. And since my son is no longer helping me right now, I need to make sure we're good here. All right. So, first off, if you do have some questions, make sure you post them with a bunch of question marks at the beginning so I can find them quickly because I'm going to be going back and forth and whatnot so that I can address some of these challenges. Now, I'm already starting behind, so pardon my speaking a little fast, which is natural for me. Again, let me know where you're chiming in from, what country, city, state, whatnot. Always like to hear that. And feel free to share the links, this information as we get into the nitty-gritty of polygyny. And of course, today I'm going to be focused a lot more on the men's perspective, being a man that practices polygyny and really says stuff. I'm going to be talking with the brothers. Now, I know that on YouTube, the majority of the subscribers, at least for our channel, are women, about 70%. So the Lion's Lounge says wife, concubine, and something else I really can't see it from here. Cutoffs, something like that. Samad Abnur or Abdul Nur from Atlanta, ATL representing. What's up, bro? Good to see you as always. But I'm going to be talking to the brothers, all right, and addressing a number of different issues because when it comes to polygyny in particular, the challenge is that we aren't schooled well in it. And when you don't know something, then you go with the trial and error method. And trial and error method, problem is there's a whole lot of trial and a whole lot of errors. I was talking to my children this morning at the family meeting, and I was discussing leadership. And we were talking really about self-hyphen, so whether that's self-awareness, self-efficacy, self-confidence, self-discipline, all these things start with yourself before you're able to lead, because the first person you lead is yourself, right? But we had to get to the point of understanding the significance and the role that leadership plays and being able to inspect what you expect. All right, so we're going to do a little bit of that today. For those of you who are our students, some of our students, whether it's in the Polygamy Masterclass or the Kings and Kingdoms course, you already know how I shoot. I shoot straight from the hip. I'm letting you know what it is. And I just want to ask you quickly, if I have your permission to push you. See, I'm a strong believer in that many men should strive to practice polygyny, all right? Or at least be qualified as a bare minimum to practice polygyny. Not even if that's not your decision, your choice to want to move into it, you should qualify for it, for what it will make of you. See, it's similar to when my coach told me, he said, Nazir, you should make a goal to be a millionaire. And I was like, yeah, of course. I'm in my 20s. I'm like, yo, of course I'm gonna be a millionaire, right? I can have all this stuff. I can travel these places. I can do all this, this stuff that's dreaming, right? My mentor said, no. He said, listen, you should strive to become a millionaire for what it will make of you. For what it will make of you. Then he went to explain, say, there's a person that makes $2,000 a week, which comes to almost 6 figures a year. Think differently than the person that's making $10,000 a week. And I was like, I couldn't really fathom either of those numbers at the time. And he was like, all right, let me break it down. If a person makes $2,000 a month, do they think differently? Do they move differently than someone who makes that per day? I'm like, of course. A person making $2,000 a month will absolutely think differently. He said, okay, well, what about the person that makes $83,000 a month? Will they think differently? Like, yeah, no doubt, no question. So he said, it's the same person, same hours in the day, same access to information and opportunity. The difference is the mindset. And that's just only at 1 million. What if you move to 10? That's $1 million a month, or 100 million, right? So my mentor put me on that. And I'm like, okay, well, that being the case, that type of stretching can be applied to any part of your life. So why not qualify to at least practice polygyny? Not that you out there struggling along, or you're thinking that polygyny is the way that we all gonna get together, put our money together. No. No, it's where you have to become more as a man to build and to lead. And you qualify for it, and your qualifications already attract the right people. See, brothers ask me quite frequently, they're like, where are the women at that, want to practice polygyny, all this stuff, which is a very weird question. All right, very, very weird question. It's like, okay, like there's a place that sisters just gather, women just gather that practice polygyny, is big old pro-polygyny thing in this society. Like, nah, that's not how that happens. However, there are women who are attracted to and even prefer polygyny over a monogamous marriage. But are you the type of man that can attract them? Are you the type of person demonstrating the leadership and the intelligence in the several different areas of your life that is attractive? Are you the one that's able to provide security and that is acutely aware of different things, whether that's mentally or emotionally or whatnot? See, the more you are, the more you're able to communicate, pick up on sort of cues, the more you have demonstrated your financial aptitude by making sure you have assets already there for you. See, you're getting paid passively, minimally on a passive level. That's the money that gets taxed the least amount. You get paid first and pay taxes on the rest, if anything. All right. The funny part is the government already figured that out. They had to take your taxes out before they gave you a check instead of giving you a check and then you waiting on you to pay taxes. You'd be pissed. They're already taking it out from the jump. But when you're a business owner, when you're an entrepreneur, the rules change. Now, since you're adding value, you pay taxes last. Your business should grow and thrive. See, I had a friend of mine who's like, how much do you need to make per hour in order to go ahead and, live a certain lifestyle? I was like, it's funny because a person can be working at the same company. Think of where you work at, if you have a job where you're working right now. Does everybody get paid the same from the CEO all the way on down? Is everyone paid the same? And of course, the answer is no. See, the difference, though, is not your pay per hour. People are paid based on the value they bring to that hour. They're paid for the value they bring to that hour. You're not just paid, $15 an hour, $20 an hour, $300 an hour. You can have a nurse and a surgeon in the same room with the same patient, but the surgeon's getting paid 100 times more than the nurse. There's a lot more value that they're bringing to that hour, correct? Similarly, when it comes to marriage and communication and relationships and fathering and being a husband, there's a whole lot more that can be done and should be. And those who qualify for it are attractive. Now, I'm good with 2 wives. It's easy for me to deal with the measurables. The measurables is time and money, right? You could easily divide by 2. That's real easy. It's 2 or 4. Like, I wouldn't want to have 3. But I'm good with marriage right now. I have several adult children, and 2 of them are married. I'm working to get others married and so on. And I'm working to try to get things done for 10 generations. Nevertheless, let me slow down and reel it back. And welcome you if you just now joined. I'm Coach Nazir, one of the founders of Outstanding Personal Relationships. I'm going to continue this discussion in about 15 minutes. I'm going to cut it off of YouTube and Facebook, and I'm going to focus only on our private community. So if you're not part of the private community, then you want to go there. Matter of fact, let me leave a link in the description for those of you on Facebook and YouTube. And if you are chiming in from IG, as I see you are, it's outstandingpersonalrelationships.com/invitation. Or you can just click the community button on the top. It'll take you right there. You can register, and we can continue, with today's discussion from that point. Again, pardon me, because, again, I've had a long day. Nevertheless, I want to know where you're from. I know Salim chimed in. Summit chimed in. We got South Carolina in the house, Atlanta in the house. I'm sure we got the UK, number of different countries in Africa as well. Where you from? Let me know. And if you have some questions, put question marks in front of it. I'm going to try to get up for IG. Usually Coach Fatimah does that, as they're more on IG and stuff than I am. All right, cool. So let me get busy. Let's get started. Guyana. Well, listen, in Guyana, that's what's up. I don't think I've seen you or Guyana mentioned before. And we've at least had about 30 or so different countries chiming in on our live stream. So welcome, Guyana in the house. That's what's up. All right. I'm going to share this screen. If I could, I don't know if I. This is my laptop. This is Coach Fatimah's laptop, and I don't know if I have what I've shared before in the private community. But if not, no worries, because I'm going to stream from there as well. I want to talk about something though that's dealing with our marital relationships. All right, it's not specific to polygyny, but it's very, very important to understand, especially monogamy. Before you get married, it's very important to understand, especially for women, because women are the ones that tend to lose themselves when they don't understand this principle. And I haven't seen it being taught anywhere. This is something I had to discover along with my personal development journey. Let me see right in here. Screen sharing. I don't think so. All right, private community, you're going to have to hold on for a second until we are having our own discussion, because Coach Fatimah's computer got me a little vexed. How do I get away from it? All right, well, we're just going to leave you right here. Weird. Whatever. Let me get on this. All right, I'm going to add this to the stream. You'll see this on Facebook and YouTube right now. And if you are on IG and you want to see what I'm putting up, then go over to YouTube or our Facebook page, and you'll be able to see it. I want to catch this question over here real quick on IG first, though. Join us in the community. Do you have to practice polygyny? No, you don't have to practice polygyny. You could absolutely be single or on monogamy. For what I'm talking about right now, for example, is a monogamous relationship. And if you want to see the screen of the diagram that's up, again, go over to our YouTube channel, which is Outstanding Personal Relationships. We're streaming live right now. So for those of you who do see it, you see there's 3 circles, right? Or 3 spheres is what I call them. There's a sphere, if they were by themselves, like when I go into class and I go into detail with this, you have the man, you had a woman, right? They're solo, meaning totally single. So they have their own identities, likes, dislikes, beliefs, pains, triumphs, trials, tragedies that have occurred in their lives, right? If you live long enough. So with that being said, that just means we're human. But when you get married, what is this? I'm sorry, I'm distracted by not knowing what's going on over here. All right. When you're married, though, and you join in a union, you take this woman, this man, these 2 spheres, and they kind of come together, kind of kissing, if you will, but they don't just become one. And I know people think, when you're married, you become one. No, you don't. No, you don't. Not at all. You don't create just one entity. I know people believe weird stuff, and I used to believe, you can add 1 + 1 + 1 is 1 and all that. No, that's not how it operates. You have the man here, you have the woman, own individual identities. They get married, then they create a 3rd sphere. And if you see the sphere, it says shared marital identity. Shared marital identity. So that means you have ideas on what marriage means or it looks like for you and your family. My family, my last name is Al Mujahid. So now this is the Al Mujahid shared identity. Here's the challenge though. Unless you know what that means, the whole concept means, when you sit and you talk about the ideas and what marriage means to you, what things are important for you, what are deal breakers, how to handle challenges, how to handle disputes, how you argue, how you were raised, and what things look like in your household when it comes to both parents being there. Maybe one parent wasn't, maybe you adopted. No matter what your situations are, you bring that stuff with you as part of your individual identity. However, it's a small part or big, depending on how much baggage you bring, if you will, to that shared marital identity. Now, keep in mind, if you're looking at this diagram, you'll notice that in this third sphere, the shared marital identity, there's two little carved out parts. And it says husband's identity, because now this person went from being a man, a single man, to now a married husband. Again, this is monogamy. The woman goes from woman's individual identity to being a wife's identity. And there are specific roles and ideas and concepts and theories that we all have, whether that's gender roles, whether that's sharing in different things, whatever it is, and putting in the household or whatever we choose it to be. The difference is now I'm this new husband, new wife. So that's that identity, but then there's also the shared marital identity. Here's the other part. You'll notice still in this same diagram, you still have the woman's individual identity and the man's individual identity. See, we are still our own individual beings with our likes, dislikes, and everything. The difference is now we put on another hat or another important role in our lives, where now I went from being a single man to being a husband. So I have responsibility, a loyalty, everything to my family. And my wife does as well. But if you're not communicating or trying to understand where you come from, how you've grown, how you form certain beliefs, then you're going to have some issues. Now, I'm going to tell you where your issues are going to come in when it comes to polygyny. You have a shared marital identity. The man is going to be the one who makes the decision when it comes to polygyny. You may talk about it, discuss it, which is best practice. We encourage you to do so before you are ever married, if it's ever on your mind. Now, here's the challenge. When you're a single man, especially if you're a young single man, never been married, you're not thinking about it at all. You want to get solid with one. You have no idea how that's going to be. So you might not be thinking about polygyny at all. But as you grow and as you evolve, guess what? That might need to become part of your discussions, all right, as possibly being a reality. Minimally, the reason I want you to discuss polygyny in particular is because you need to know who you married. You need to know what they had as part of their individual identity that is now part of their shared marital identity. Because one of the challenges, and I talk to brothers all the time, say, you know what, I want to get married. I know a sister that wants to get married, whatever the situation may be. And they're like, hey, bro, should I go about it like this or like this? I'm like, listen, man, you need to first talk to your wife. Talk to your wife. Whether you're talking about polygyny or not, I'm letting you know right now, if you're single, when the time comes for sitting down, recording and whatnot, you need to talk about polygyny, whether it's your intention or not, because you need to know where the other person stands, why they feel a certain way, why you feel a certain way, how you go about it, should it ever come, being able to have the discussion. And the reason why is because you're married to this person. You should be able to speak to them about anything. There should be nothing off limits. If there's something off limits, then that means you don't have the connection that you thought you had. Inside your shared marital identity, when you think, this is my best friend, I can talk to him about anything. It's not a reality if you can't talk about it. If you're not responsible enough to bring the conversation up as a man, if you're not responsible enough as a woman, as a wife, to bring it up, to at least have the conversation, to listen, even if you're writhing in jealousy or uncertainty and chaos on the inside, this person is supposed to be the closest person to you. As a man, you have to be able to demonstrate that courage. Okay. You still here with this camera or not? All right. I don't know. We'll see. Look like it's still good on this end. But one of my cameras just, the LCD may be gone. But it looks like I'm still here. So that works. Nevertheless, if you do not have in your shared identity that this person is your best friend that you are married to, and that there are expectations that you should be able to have and seek out, if you're not able to speak about polygyny in particular, that is a problem. Now, I know why it is from the men's side in general, because you know what? I'm married to this person. I love this person. You may have children with it and all of that. This is like the number one person in the world is going to provide for you, protect, and all of this kind of stuff. And you don't want her to feel hurt or feel jealous or feel any type of pain. So it's like, I don't want to really have that conversation. She's going to think I'm doing this or I want to do that. Or, she might feel that she's not enough or she's not worth, or she start questioning herself, but that's not even the issue. So I know from that perspective. And the same from the other side. The other side is like, oh, now you want somebody else. Now, now I'm good. I do all this type of stuff. And now you want to marry again. And all that. I understand those things. But being able to have the conversation is base level for a good, healthy relationship. Now, it's part of your shared marital identity. Women, I understand what you mean when you say, oh, you feel betrayed. Your husband went and married behind your back, or you didn't know he was going to practice polygyny, and then later he brought it to you, they didn't want to practice polygyny. Now you feel betrayed, or you don't know, and you don't know. I know why you say that. Because in your shared marital identity, you have the idea and understanding, which is a good understanding to have, that you should be able to communicate with your spouse about anything. Should things change, do they evolve, you'll be able to communicate about this stuff. But you see how hard it is when it's about a topic that you may not want to hear about, and at the same time, he doesn't want to hurt you. I can understand the feeling of betrayal, all right? Because it's a feeling. You may be applying it in a way that where it's not really betrayal, but you felt that way because you thought in this shared marital identity, you always see eye to eye. This person will come to you and say something. So I understand now. I Coach Fatimah. Now my mind as a man at the time, I didn't understand it, but I understand it now when Coach Fatimah said, well, I felt betrayed and this and that, and I had to try to process these things. Yeah. You know why? Because we had a shared marital identity that was not defined. It was not defined. Oh, there was expectation. Yeah, you're not going to cheat. You're not going to disobey. You're not going to go. You're not going to do these types of things. You're not going to do this. You're going to bring peace to the home. You're going to provide for the home. Those things, they're unwritten expectations. But the challenge was with me, when I decided to practice polygyny, I didn't go and say, hey, let's have this conversation. Yeah, I had some books about it. Yeah, I had some goals and stuff that was written in my journal. I wasn't even pursuing polygyny. All right, so polygyny basically found me, which is totally different than a lot of people's situations, because they're trying to find women to pursue in polygyny, for example. I didn't do that. I'm more attracted to it than anything, but at that time in my life, I was more open to it than I was when I initially got married. That's 15 years after I got married. Now, I know the pain and why the feeling is there, because now you've been married for somebody for 15 years, and now they're saying, oh, they want to expand. I understand that. We never have that conversation. We talked about it before in jest sometimes or whatever, but it was never something where I was like, you know what? Look, I'm really thinking about such and such, because I didn't want to hurt her. I've known her since I was a teen. I was 14 years old when I met her. All right, there was no beard, definitely no grays, none of that. Small little guy, little peach fuzz on the top of the lip and stuff like that. So she saw me grow and everything else. Now, we weren't together necessarily that whole time. There's some rough patches in teenage years and teenage love type stuff, right? Nevertheless, after I met her 5 years later, we were married. I became Muslim. There's a whole big life change that occurred in my life. And I knew I had to do what's right. We ended up getting married. I built a family. By that time, polygyny, we had 6 children after 15 years. So now, I'm 35 years old. Now, I'm not the same person I was at 19 when I originally got married. So again, all these things have to be taken into account. But with that shared marital identity, we didn't have these defined rules. Now, loyalty is very important to me. So where I come from, I was raised in the Midwest, right outside of Chicago, and even worked in Chicago for a number of years, right? I was born and raised in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. All right. Milwaukee, where Giannis, home of the world champion, at least 2021 world champion NBA Bucks, is from. All right. Also known as Jim Crow North, I would call it. Because the racism there is very, very real, much different and more vehement than the South. Nevertheless, loyalty was very important to me. All right. So much so that the organization I was a part of had that as part of their creed, if you will, with love, life, and loyalty, right? These things. So very, very important to me. So the opposite of loyalty to me is betrayal. And betrayal is a whole nother level. So I didn't see and understand the betrayal part, because me, I rationalized relatively simply, like, okay, cool. Well, Islam permits this. This, of course, here, this is where I am in my life. I'm able to go ahead and do this type of stuff. So, and you Muslim, you're already talking and coaching other people, talking about Coach Fatimah. You're already coaching and talking with other people regarding polygyny and so on and so forth, and letting them know the deal, you're mature enough and so on. So I figured, naively, that, all right, cool. It's a transition period. Yeah, she loves me. We've known each other for a long time. I love her. We have his family and so on. But the little that I know, the magnitudes it will go to. So when I'm talking to you as a man, I'm saying increasing your emotional intelligence, increasing your courage and your mental aptitude, especially your financial intelligence. All of these things matter. All of these things make you more attractive. Now, should I want to marry someone else? It's pretty much a lot more easier. It's a lot more easy for me. I just put out, hey, I'm looking for a third wife. It's not going to be something hard or difficult. Not that I'm so tracking all these women, but I already know what I put forward. But now at the same time, I'm also going to be more meticulous in the things that I'm looking for and what fits with what I have going on in my vision for the future. Because as a leader, I'm looking for somebody that's going to help build with me, if that's the case. Now, I'm not looking for anybody. I'm just giving you the hypotheticals. But if you're a man and you're building You're focusing on you and increasing your value to the marketplace, similar to the person who's understanding the difference in value to the hour. So if you get paid $15 an hour or $15,000 an hour, again, it's the value you bring to that hour. That's the difference. So as a man, the value you bring to your family, the value you bring is in a position of leadership. The value that you bring is that measurement, which is very important. That's attractive. So if you're looking at finding women that are interested in polygyny, there are lots of women who are actually interested in polygyny. The problem is there are also a lot of predators that are interested in polygyny. Not really interested in polygyny, they're just looking for more victims. So you get those who, prey upon women. And that's not something specific to polygyny. That happens regardless of polygyny. All right, there are male predators, there are female predators. So we have to understand our potential to do evil. We do have to understand that. We actually have free will, which is powerful, and it's more than just choosing good or choosing bad, choosing to believe in God and the hereafter, or choosing to disbelieve in it. We actually have a very special power when it comes to free will. So the question for me was never, how can this person do such a thing? When I hear somebody say, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy, you know what I think? You don't really have enemies. You really don't have enemies. The medieval stuff I can think of doing to certain enemies that I've had, it'll go back to this whole European gadgets they would do for torture. I'm just saying, we have to recognize our propensity and ability for being a monster, but having the morals to be able to tame that monster. See, if you need to go to war as a man, they're not looking for poets and the peacemakers. No. But if that time ever comes where you need to protect your family against something physical or otherwise, you need to be able to be a monster and have the tenacity for your family. All right. So I never had to forget the things that I learned in Jahiliyyah or before becoming Muslim. I just had to be able to target it toward the right thing at the right time. So, I get an example. I'm going to key this example right now, right? People have asked, let me slow my roll, make sure. All right, battery's on. This is good. Moving. Both cameras look like they're still on, even though I lost an LCD. I'm going to move off of this screen with my shared marital identity. Preferably got much of that. And I got like 2 more minutes. I'm just only going to the people in a private live cast. I see you. So if you're on YouTube and Facebook, I'm going to be out of here in about 2 minutes going to our private live cast. I'm not stopping. I'm just stopping on Facebook and YouTube to go over there. I might field a couple questions. I see you, Law. Alaikum assalam. Things are very well. Good to see you here as always. Amber, I see you out in Baltimore. Matter of fact, one thing I didn't do, and it's better late than never, is play a little introduction. So we have a little introduction. I'll probably go about 5 minutes over. And you'll be able to join us right there. So anyway, outstandingpersonrelationships.com/invitation. You'll get the details, click the button. You'll be able to join for free and continue the live cast by clicking on the cookout, because this is what we consider this. It's a cookout. Last week, my wives and I were with me. My wives and I were with me. Yeah, that sounds about right. My wives were with me as we did the live cast for our community. But if you do have a few questions, because I'm not going to go further into the training, I'm going to do that in the live cast. Bookish, see you out in London. All right. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, feedback, or what have you, post some question marks before your questions. If you're on Facebook and YouTube, if you are in the private area, matter of fact, let me pull up your questions right now. Chat, alaikum assalam, sis, I see you, Hadaya, in New York, representing East Coast. All right, if there's no question, we can just go ahead and wrap it up. I appreciate y'all being here. Regardless, I know I can cut IG and YouTube and Facebook and just go to the private community. See, here's the thing. In our private community, we don't have to worry about trolls. It's an anti-troll space. My bovine excrement meter is very low. Sometimes I might have time. So we might go ahead and just clap back at some people. It is what it is. If they go, oh, you're just public, y'all in public, you can't be talking like this. Now, if you come to bring us some heat or some shade, you might just get it back. Don't be surprised. Nevertheless, we appreciate you being here either way. Matter of fact, if you have some questions, though, I'll share it in the private community. And you might see clouds going over, so you might see some difference in lighting and stuff like that. Nevertheless, that's it. No questions. Loretta, I see you, sis. What's you, North Carolina, I believe? All right, look, there's no questions. Appreciate y'all being here. I'm going to end the Facebook and YouTube live cast to continue in our private community. So with that being said, I'm Coach Nazir, the person that helps people get their shift together. Now, I'm going to leave you with a couple of things that stuck with me. One is that never strive to be average. Never strive to be average. That's one of the things my coach taught me. Okay? Never strive to be average. That's not what we teach our children. Hey, try to go ahead and get that C. Try to be average. Unless it's some type of physical or mental handicap. We want you to be outstanding. See, the challenge is that when you strive to be good, what type of results do you get? People say, if you do good, you're going to get good results. No, when you do good, you get poor results. See, the effort and everything that you put out is not necessarily reflected back to you. So if you do good, you get poor results. If you do great, you get good results. If you strive for excellence, you can get great results. But if you're outstanding, then you can be excellent. So striving to be good ain't going to get it. You could be in a good marriage and you're still not satisfied. You're not recognizing, you're not being grateful. You're not living up to your potential, and that'll make you feel a certain type of way. So who said average is okay anyway? Now I'm going to tell you what average is. Average is the top of the bottom, or it's the bottom of the top. That's what average is. I want you to be outstanding. I want you to strive for that. So even if you miss it, and you likely will, we're humans, you still gonna hit excellence. If you miss that, you still gonna hit being great. But being average is trash. And average is, I'm gonna tell you what average is. Average is not finishing a book already on personal development this year. One is really small. Now, if you ask me, all right, well, what books would you recommend? What books are you doing? Okay, cool. The last book I just finished was Code of an Extraordinary Mind. That was about Vision. I forget his last name. Start with an L, right? The founder of Mind Valley. I'm also currently listening to on Audible, 12 Rules for Life, Jordan Peterson. Those are just two. Then, of course, there's A Confident Mind I finished just in that, and this is the last 30 days. I like to at least do a book a week. One of the movies I liked a long time when it first came out was The Matrix, not just for cinematography and videography, but I remember the part that Neo was in there. He didn't know Kung Fu. So they downloaded the program to him like, and he was like, I know Kung Fu. And he was fighting with Morpheus, Lawrence Fishburne, right? And I was like, man, that's super dope. We can do that as humans. And I recognize we can't really do it in that fashion that quickly yet. But what if I did learn a book a week in an area that I'm trying to get better in and focus on, whether it's leadership, whether it's teamwork or communication or strategy or investing or trading, whatever it may be? What if I did a book a week? That's not average. That's outstanding. That's a whole different level of game. So when I'm talking about demonstrating your value to the marketplace, demonstrating your value to your family, that's what I mean. You in it, you in the grind. So if you only done 1 book, 2 books, 3 books, we're in the 7th month of the year right now. If you only did 7 books, that's better than being average. But it's nowhere near excellent. Because maybe I can ask you, how many series did you watch? How many shows did you binge on this year? And one more question I'm going to ask you. Is how much is your Netflix subscription costing you? Or your Hulu, or your Disney Plus, or your HBO, or your Showtime, or your Stars subscriptions? How much are they costing you? You might say $15 a month, $10.99. You might just give me a price. Let me tell you that's wrong. I'm going to tell you it's absolutely wrong. I learned this before these subscription things came out. My mentor said, how much does your TV cost you a month? I'm like, what? The TV costs a few hundred? He's like, no. He said, I would expect that's costing you about $30,000 to $40,000 a year. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? You know, electricity doesn't cost that, because I'm thinking just as an average individual. And he said, you know, the average American spends about 7 hours a day watching TV, which is ridiculous, crazy. Again, that's the average American, right? But how much is that costing you by taking away from the time of you investing in yourself in order to get a return? Well, you could have learned another language. You could learn how to trade. You learn how to communicate. You could learn how to go deeper and memorize more Quran. You could learn so many different things, but instead we're binging on this TV show for entertainment to try to escape our reality, because our reality is usually average, and that's what average people do. Every single multimillionaire's home, every single multimillionaire mentor I had, and I walked into their homes, you know what they had? Big old library. Big library. Wasn't a big old TV in the living room. That's not how it was set up. Big library. Now they may have had home theater areas and stuff like that, but that's off. That's not the main focus. Why sit back and be passive and watch somebody else live their lives? Totally different level of the game. So anyway, I went over. My bad. Appreciate y'all being here. Miss Newark, go. Let's talk in our private community. She says, what's your advice to a brother who divorced all the wives and refused any reconciliation? I don't know the situation. I just know here. I don't know the situation, but let me let you know this. Because the way that that's phrased, he divorced all the wives and didn't want refuse any reconciliation. The way that that is phrased makes it sound like he's being unreasonable. I don't know that, but I do know what that brought to mind very quickly is the Prophet ﷺ went away. He went meditating, stuff like that. He left all of his wives for a month. All of his wives for a month. And there was ayat that was revealed about divorcing all of them and replacing them with better. Now, of course, your husband is the Prophet ﷺ, and I don't know the situation and circumstances, but I know situations and circumstances do matter. All right. Nevertheless, you can bring it up in private community. You go a little bit deeper there. Prayerfully, again, I appreciate you all being here today. If you want to continue this conversation, we're going to be in a private community. That's outstandingpersonrelationships.com/invitation to get details, or the link that's going across the bottom of the screen on Facebook and YouTube and IG. Prayerfully, you heard me. I'll talk a little fast. Matter of fact, you can go to our bio or profile or whatever. Click there. You'll be able to go join us. All right, y'all. I see you, Halima, in Northern Virginia. Appreciate you. I'm going to get up, move around, because, again, this is live. I got to cut stuff off and fix stuff. My son is doing his thing, and we will continue. So for Facebook and YouTube, prayerfully we see you in the Outstanding Personal Relationships community, which, again, is anti-troll. So I'm like, peace. I'm Coach Nazir, coach to help people get their shift together.